He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise.
There is an economic plan for the New World Order, and that is called the New World Economic Order.
There's a group that get together internationally, and they sort of play God with our money.
You think that's part of what George Bush said was the One World Order?
They can't have a New World Order only with a world police, military. Right. I think the financial system ultimately is even more important than the guns.
What underpins a world order is always the financial system. I was very privileged. My father was an advisor to Nixon when they came off the gold standard in '71, and so I was brought up with a kind of inside view of how very important the financial structure is to absolutely everything else. And what we're seeing in the world today, I think, is we are on the brink of a dramatic change where we are about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. This new money will be sovereign in nature. Most people think that digital money is crypto and private, but what I see are superpowers introducing digital currency. The Chinese were the first. The US is on the brink, I think, of moving in the same direction. The Europeans have committed to that as well.
Now there will be further consolidation of smaller banks into the larger ones, making it all that much easier to roll out a central bank digital currency and social credit score for us all. Again, you want to control someone, control their money, and that's ultimately the end goal. Now you can bet small banks are going to go under one by one, with assets and accounts to be absorbed by the biggest banks. You just wait. They're just going to do it systematically rather than through chaotic runs. The goal is to consolidate all the banks into the hands of a few, making it much easier to enforce ESG scores and create a central bank digital currency.
All the banks are broke. Bank Santander, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, they're all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. They're broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they don't actually have. It's a criminal scandal, and it's been going on for too long. To add to that problem, you have moral hazard, a very significant moral hazard from the political sphere. And most of the problem starts in politics and central banks, which are part of the same political system. We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, but counterfeiting by any other name. The artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they'd go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. Central banks repress the amount of interest that rates are, so we don't have the real cost of money. And yet we blame the real retail banks for manipulating LIBOR. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It's central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner.
I think it's quite likely that the CBDC will arrive, and it will also be the subject of the currency reset at the same time. At some point, the world is going to go into a crisis, or a country is going to go into a crisis. It might be the UK, it might be Italy, it might even be the United States, but something is going to happen. Things are very, very taut in the financial world at the moment. When that happens, I think they will close the banks. You'll wake up on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning and hear the news that they've shut the banks, they're not going to open on Monday. And then by Monday evening or Tuesday, you'll get the announcement that we're having a new currency, the CBDC, and don't worry, it'll be 1-to-1 against the old currency. But there'll be some restrictions on your ability to convert your old money into the new money. So if you're poor and you have a small bank account, it'll be converted 1-to-1 straight away. And you'll probably even find that you get a free gift from the government to kickstart the system. Maybe £3,000 or £5,000 will be given to every citizen gratuitously to kickstart the system in the new CBDC. But if you have 100,000 or 1 million in the bank, you're going to be told yes, it's one-to-one, but you're going to have to wait to convert it to the new currency. Now, wait means never. We all know that, but they won't tell you that. They'll say it's a temporary suspension because we're in the middle of a crisis. The people are rioting in the streets, and we need to calm the system. So here's some free money, everybody. Go and enjoy yourselves.
So the central banks aim at this Orwellian dystopia of total control, and the central bank digital currency will enable them to monitor all your transactions and switch you off, and switch your power to purchase anything off. And also, you'll be very selective. Maybe you'll be allowed to buy this, but not that. Oh, this is too far from your home. You can't buy there. Anything is possible with this digital control tool. Of course, there's a big hurdle now because they never tell you how is that actually going to work in practice. The intermediate step is to have it on your mobile phone, but really the goal is to have it implanted under your skin.